So this is the conclusion. Who is he again? Last question. This is mathematician, philosopher who got the Nobel Prize in literature, Bertrand Russell. He started with the Gita, philosophy of the Gita. We are ending with the philosophy of a modern philosopher. He said man is struggling always with three different forces. First is man struggles against nature, conquering disasters, conquering infectious diseases, conquering pandemics, interface with veterinary zoonosis. That is the man is in struggle with nature. Once he conquers that, man turns against his neighbor, whether it is war or fighting with your neighbor, Ukraine war. There was Russia, USA Cold War. Once the USSR was fragmented, there was only unipolar world. And then we can add violence, sanction of gain of function research is also man against man. Man is planning this Wuhan virus also. Now it is highly probable now that it has come from a lab. So this gain of function research is also violence, biological warfare. And even after, third thing is, as men become conquering nature, conquering the neighbor, man has nothing to do. Man turns against self. Obesity and lifestyle disease. Population, that's why population. We saw from the charts that the Asian and African countries are still to catch up with the West in obesity, overweight. But we are not leaving any efforts, particularly our middle class. Middle class is fast becoming very obese. You see children, you see young adults. They are fast reaching. And if you see the second wave, it affected the middle class first, because the first wave affected the slum people and the urban poor. So Dharavi is a good example. Second wave, were not affected, but the middle class was affected, who are likely to be they are following the laptop class and the Zomato class. So they are fast approaching the obesity of the. So that is man against self. So have we arrived? So this is lesson from modern philosopher. And Sun Tzu, again, who was Sun Tzu? Was again a Chinese warrior and a philosopher. Chinese virus, Chinese philosophy. So he says the art of war teaches us not on the likelihood of enemy not coming, but on a readiness to receive him, not on the chance of his not attacking, but rather on the fact that we have made a position unassailable. You see, Pandemic X, now we are worrying about the next pandemic. Pandemic X, we are preparing vaccine. अरे भाई क्या करोगे वैक्सीन? कौन से एनीमिक के अगेंस्ट वैक्सीन लगाओगे? कौन सा आर्टिलरी हवा में मारोगे? We don't know the virus, but we know that obesity killed in the past pandemic. We know that comorbidity killed in the past pandemic. We know that poor lifestyle killed in the past pandemic. So this is making our host factor strong. Any virus, we can deal with it. And who are the vulnerable, who are the elderly communities, they can be protected. They may be vaccinated. But this is the actual prepare for art of war. And lastly, we end with a Hindi movie. Take home message, control of obesity, biggest challenge in the West. Obesity creeping up in developing economies like Brazil, lesson for other developing economies like India, and need for primordial prevention in these countries. Lack of public health infrastructure, challenge in poor countries. We have a young population. We can take on viruses as long we do not become overweight. But our distribution of health services, like second wave, there was a medical stampede because there were rural areas, there were no medical facilities. Everybody crowded the urban. So many people died in the medical stampede by neglect of other comorbidities, lack of oxygen, other things. So if we have a good health structure, that is preparing for Pandemic X, not going piecemeal. There will be hundreds of viruses. Viruses are with us since billions of years. And it will be more than billions of years in future. We can't go for piecemeal solutions. We have to go for health services, and we have to go for host. So as I said, this is the last take-home message from a Hindi movie, Agnipath, in which the villain, the bad man, tells the hero who is chasing him, अपना उसूल कहता है जब दुश्मन की उम्र बढ़ जाती तो उससे दोस्ती कर लो, अपनी उम्र भी बढ़ जाती है. As I said, the viruses are long-lived and they will live longer. So we should not keep chasing, stop chasing the virus or viruses, else we will fall off the cliff like an elephant chasing the COVID can. So future strategies for COVID vaccination, take-home message for you to answer. Whether we should have mass scale as we had, or we should study the epidemiology, see which grades go, and accordingly focus. Because what happened in this pandemic? This was a marathon, and the world tried to run a marathon at the speed of a sprint. अभी sprint भागा रुक गया, अभी हाँफ रहे हैं, वो marathon चला गया हाथ से. So this is how we should plan. These are the references, and as I said, I want all of you to do their own study, which data is there, and these are some of the references. I suppose it will there. I would like to be educated. Whatever I have projected, these are the data. I am asking this question since 2 years. I have published also this data. Nobody is answering me. Am I missing something? That after the why the population level? So these are my contact. Anybody can throw some light on the data. I would like to be educated.